Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, I ask after you check me out, if you like me, that you will subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of different things on here that I put, and I'd appreciate you letting me know what you think. Okay, today I'm going to tell a few things that have really been on my mind about how the government is getting involved when there are incidents of Bigfoot. I almost said UFO, but isn't it funny that UFOs seem to hang around Bigfoot? Well, that's another thing. We got a whole nother topic there. But anyway, I just wanted to discuss today a few stories that I've been checking out. And I will put a link below to these radio broadcasts of these stories that I thought are real interesting from the Oklahoma Bigfoot people that are here. They seem very credible. I really like watching their content, and so anyway, I'll put some links below so you can listen real time to these witnesses telling their stories about Bigfoot encounters and how all of a sudden these bigwig officials show up in government vehicles. Okay, the first one I want to talk about was the first one I listened to. And it was about a man and his cousin that were fishing in Ohio in a lake. And they were in a boat, and all of a sudden a big, huge boulder the size of a plate was thrown in front of the boat into the water. And the cousin got really irate and started saying, "Why don't you pull up on shore?" Because I think it was an island out in this lake. "And I'm going to go and whip that guy's rear end," or whoever it is. Well, so anyway, the guy pulled his boat up to the shore. His cousin got out, and all of a sudden, through the trees, they see a hairy being. And this hairy being is a Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call him. And he was aggressive. He began to throw things, and he threw a log and hit this cousin in the jaw. I think something else was thrown. Anyway, he wound up with broken ribs, his jaw messed up, in the hospital over this. The guy that was talking about it said it terrified him so much that he wet his pants. And that's not the words he used, but that's the words I'm using. The cousin had to go to the hospital and spend some days in the hospital, and when he finally got out, all of a sudden, he didn't have a job anymore. And then there were government officials coming up and asking them all about it. "What did you see? Are you sure that you saw a Bigfoot?" Now, he described the people as they were really dressed up. If I recall correctly, one was dressed in a black suit. And they came to ask him what he saw and said, "Are you sure that it wasn't a bear?" Well, this is interesting because in most of these stories, they say the same thing. "You saw a bear, right? Are you sure it wasn't what you said? It was your imagination." That's all I'm going to tell about the story. Like I said, it's a two-parter. I'll put the link below. I think the first one is the number 24 episode, and it's a two-parter. You can go listen to it. It's pretty long, but boy, it is really interesting. And the guy was terrified. It had only been days since it had happened, and he hadn't had any sleep, little nutrition, hadn't drank anything hardly, like water. And he was terrified about the whole situation. So you can tell that the guy's genuine when you listen to the video. The second one I want to talk about is about a woman. She was a single mother with 3 girls living in Florida in, I believe, a trailer park close to the marshlands down there in Florida. And her neighbor is the one telling and narrating the story without names because he doesn't want people to think he's crazy. He is a retired military, and he and his wife live there, and this is the incident that happened. One of his near neighbors, which wasn't the single mother, she lived right on down the road a little ways, and the neighbor near him started having trouble. Something was getting in their garbage. Something was really messing with the dumpsters. They began to look and investigate because there was a field behind them, but then after the field there was a bunch of trees. That they saw this hairy being that he said was a Bigfoot. And he said they were really kind of freaked out over it, and we're watching the whole situation. But later that evening, they noticed a bunch of cars with lights. Forest rangers, the local law enforcement down at this single mother's house. Living in this small community with just a few people in this trailer park, he went down to investigate and was met and stopped by law enforcement and government officials and said, it's none of your business, you need to go home. Why are you down here? I'm just down here to check on this lady because, we're all close neighbors and I want to see if she's all right. And all of a sudden, one of the girls, the middle-aged girl, said, my mommy shot a monster. And he looked at the little girl. They were absolutely serious. And then he noticed, the officials were saying she shot a bear. Told the little girl to be quiet. She doesn't know what she's talking about, and get in the house. Well, then they handcuffed this woman in front of her children and hauled her to jail, where she was put there with a high bond to bail out. A very high bond. Even if you killed a bear, it wouldn't have been as high as hers. So anyway, the girls stayed down at the man's and his wife's house that night because they didn't have anybody else there, and took care of them. And what he understood, they said somebody looked in their window, and they looked, and it was a monster. And they said their mother got her pistol out, and she shot it several times. Well, he kind of went into the woods line later on that night and used what he could to see, and saw people back there behind the house. And they were loading, not a bear, into the back of this forest ranger's truck. It took several men, and it was really hard, but they got this huge creature back in the back of the truck. He said it was not a bear. The next day, the girls left, went to school, went home, or whatever. The mother's still in jail at this point. He gets a visit from some men in suits in a black vehicle with black tinted windows with government tags, asking him what he knew about what happened. Well, he's no dummy. He told them, well, I understand my neighbor shot a bear. And he said he knew that they knew that those girls stayed down there and they were just fishing, okay, for information. The girls had said that when they arrested their mom, they confiscated her phone. Well, they all of a sudden want to confiscate this guy's phone. Why are they confiscating the phones and want the computer also? Why do they want people's communication devices? I don't get it. What's going on here, y'all? He went down there later because he noticed there were some government officials behind the house, and he went in the same tree line and he watched them raking the ground up meticulously, like they were looking at it to make sure they got every little piece of evidence off the ground, put it in bags, and hauled it off. But it was a bear, right? The woman finally got out of jail. She said she was not allowed to talk about the incident. The next time he talked to the girls, they said, my mommy said we are not supposed to talk about it anymore. But he said he knows what he knows, and he knows that the girl shot this Bigfoot. The last incident I want to talk about is a man and a friend of his went to a national park where they had seen what they said looked like a Dogman or a Bigfoot getting in the garbage there, and he wanted to try to see if they could check it out. While they were there, they noticed there was a party of children having a birthday party in this park, and they suddenly see this creature darting in and out of the tree line, watching them. While they're scoping it out and fix to go over there and warn these people, all of a sudden, these government officials pull up and said, "You're ruining our surveillance," whatever that meant, and wanted to, eventually they were questioning also, and they wanted to confiscate their phones, which they did, and paid them a lot of visits. And when one of the guys went to talk to the group of Bigfoot hunters that I'm going to put the links below to where you can hear the whole thing, because I might have messed up on some of the info, he called and said, "I almost didn't call you back to tell you any more information because I thought you were in with the FBI and the government." He said, "Well, why would you think that?" He said, "Because they knew everything I said to you in our last phone call," to his face. And they knew everything. Well, he had talked to this guy on his home phone, so the Bigfoot investigators and people that he was talking to said, "They probably have your phone bugged. They're listening to you." Okay, those are the 3 stories I wanted to give you just a little tidbit of. Go and watch them. They're very compelling. They really are. My question is, why is the government so concerned about these Bigfoot and Dogmen if they're not really there? One of the men said, the one of the trailer parks said, the 3rd night he heard noise, looked out at the tree line, and military guys were out there in camouflage with AK, whatever those machine guns are they carry. And he went up to one of them said, "What are you doing out here?" And they said, "We're doing exercises, military exercise." He goes, "No, you're not. Why are you out here?" And they told him to go in the house, and it wasn't any of his business. Later on that night, after midnight, they heard all kinds of guns going off in the woods. What they figured is that they came to see if there were any more of these creatures and came to kill them. Now, I've heard other stories that this is happening all over the place, especially if there are face-to-face encounters or if somebody is hurt. I've got my own thoughts. They said they think, one of them said, because what he saw was on the government land, the forest rangery, the forestry, that they don't want to lose the revenue if they let it out that there is a lot of activity going on in these national forests. I think it's bigger than that. I think that it is a problem and they don't want to panic the public. I think somewhere down the road our government was involved in these creatures because, like I said before, there may have been a pure Bigfoot creature. That was just an animal. But now there is some mixing going on, y'all. And I think it's a DNA mixture that's supposed to happen in the end times, in the latter years of this planet Earth, where people in high places, demonic powers, rulers of the air, read Ephesians chapter 6 if you don't think that can happen. Satan is the prince of the air. He has fallen angels still loose that he uses that are free to roam. They are free to do what they want. If you've heard anything about UFOs, you know that they've already been abducted people, told people that they were going to take DNA from them. They say they were impregnated a lot of times, and then the baby was instantly gone, and that now there's hybrid children and all that. I know it sounds scary, but I believe it's going on. There's something being mixed, and I think a lot of the Bigfoot now and the Sasquatch are being mixed with DNA of whatever. These fallen angels, Satan hates pure race of humans. He hates us. And so I think there's something going on like that, and I think a lot of the Bigfoot that are going out and vanishing in front of people, they only leave 2 footprints in the snow, and then there's nothing around. No human prints anywhere, just 2 footprints. Where do the rest of the footprints go? They're interdimensional. They're coming in and out. That's the way fallen angels can do. Did you know that they can come out of the spirit realm and manifest in a body form, any kind of form they want. After Jesus rose from the dead, he walked right through a door to talk to the disciples that were gathered in the upper room and say, "Here I am." Yes, they can do that. These fallen angels that are free to roam the air can manifest themselves. So I think it makes sense that if they're mixing their DNA with other creatures, those other creatures will have some of those abilities also, which would line up with the people that say that Bigfoot is interdimensional, which would line up with just 2 footprints and then nothing there, which would line up for somebody saying he was there 1 second and then he disappeared. It would line up. If there was nothing to it, why are so many government officials wasting our tax dollars to go around investigating loonies that are talking about a Bigfoot or a Dogman that doesn't exist? Why are they letting the military go out in the woods and look for them? Some other Bigfoot hunter told me personally one of the reasons they are going out to destroy Bigfoot families is for fear of some of the diseases that they carry, one being leprosy. I don't know about that. I also know that armadillos can carry leprosy, so why aren't they killing them? There's a lot of strange things going on in this world that we do not know about. The government officials tapping lines, taking cell phones, confiscating normal people's devices and computers because they had a Bigfoot encounter does not make any sense unless they know that there's something to it. Also, I just wanted to put in here that Teddy Roosevelt thought that there was a Bigfoot. He was a president. He was a big gamer, loved going out and killing big game. He wanted a Bigfoot trophy. Didn't get it, but he believed they were real and he went looking. Okay? I didn't put a picture. Well, I'm going to put a picture in here after this. The Indians in Spokane, Washington, they had little artifacts, and other Indians had artifacts, little clay faces of these Bigfoot-looking creatures or Sasquatch-looking creatures, yet they were born in North America where no gorilla or monkey exist. Where in their mind did they fathom to make these Bigfoot creatures, these little clay heads? They had to have seen it. I'll leave that picture of the little statues and the little clay figures that the Native Americans made way, way back. And also, just another fact, that these things do exist. And if you like this video, give me a like. I will try to keep answering as many of your comments as I can until I get, to where there's too many comments and I don't have the time of day to do it. All right, God bless. Take care. Just be aware, really. Because you know what? We live in times that are evil. But we don't have to be like that. We have a God that let us shine through it all. All right, God bless.